To get the most out of the Tech Scout process, we really need to understand how it works and what expectations are set during the Tech Scout and what's expected of a cinematographer. So, depending on the level that you're working with, sometimes they won't even be a Tech Scout. In the commercial world, more often than not, if you are in the midish range to upper range, there's definitely going to be a Tech Scout. It's a great opportunity for you if you haven't met the crew, if you're working in a new city or if you're working with new crew. This is probably the first time that you're going to be meeting those individuals or seeing them face to face. Maybe you've talked on the phone, maybe you have an interview process, but realistically, it's probably the Tech Scout morning that you show up and you're going to meet your key grip, you're going to meet your gaffer. Camera doesn't show up, but you're going to meet the production designer. All of these people are probably going to meet for the very first time at the Tech Scout. So that's why, like we said in the last module, it's so important to set the tone at this pre-production point so that everybody knows what they can expect from you. They know how you like to operate, they know how you like to carry yourself, because that's only going to pay dividends later on down the line. But really, it's an opportunity early on to meet, to discuss anything that you guys have been discussing over email. Now is a great chance face to face with multiple people around. Oftentimes it'll be on a minibus or some sort of combined travel, so you can go from location to location if there are some moves and talk it over. Then it's a great opportunity to sit and chat with the director, sit and chat with the producer, so they know those expectations, just to clear final things up. But really, the Tech Scout is at every single location. It's pretty common that the first AD will walk through with the guidance of the director. The director will talk about every single setup with the guidance of the first AD. The first AD, if there are any indications of schedules already in place, the first AD will talk through the schedule. And then you'll break up after that, and art department will maybe be talking to the director or the first AD or the producer or whatever it is. You'll have an opportunity then with your gaffer, your key grip, to start to identify any issues with a setup. If there's location challenges with parking, or if there's location challenges with the way that you want to approach something, now is the time to address that information. So you should be looking for any gotchas, right? That's the first thing you should be doing. Is after the director lays out, okay, this is what we want to do, as the cinematographer, really the more narrow a frame that you can present to those in your team and the entire production, really, the narrower the frame, the more production can go into that frame, right? Because if you get to a spot and you say, well, I don't really know where we're going to shoot, we could be looking this way or we could be looking that way, doesn't really give a lot of guidance to your key grip, doesn't really give a lot of guidance to your gaffer about where they can put things, where they can hide things. But if you say, oh, I've got Artemis up on my phone, I take an image, this is the exact frame, the exact shot. Well, now everybody has that information to go, oh, okay, so I can park there, I can do this here, I can unload, I can put all of the lights here. Then you start to go through with the gaffer and the key grip, and you say, this is where we want to bring the key from. If you have any documents or references that you've got, maybe you've gone over all the storyboards and you've had all of your angles that you want to get for the lighting because it's a very controlled spot. Well, now is the time. All right, you should have already shared that information beforehand, but now is the time in the physical space to go, listen, we want to bring the key from this side, something big, something soft. Maybe you don't want to go into actual fixtures depending on your relationship with the keys that you have. But now is really the time to look for those 5%ers. Like, what can we do now that we're physically standing in the space? Maybe where we wanted to bring the key from, it's not going to work with the schedule that's on offer, or maybe the way that the first AD just randomly mapped out the schedule and didn't really converse with anybody. Maybe they've done it backwards, and this is the opportunity to say, hey, get your hand up and say, well, actually, if we come 2 hours earlier to this location, it's going to save us an hour of setup. So be looking for little wins. And the quicker you can get those little wins on the board, the sooner the people realize, okay, I see what this cinematographer's doing. They're trying to help. They are reaching out. They're trying to, you're not just going to be demanding. You're going to be looking for solutions. And if somebody offers up something, if it's the production design, or if it's the director, or if it's the producer, it should always be yes and. It should always be adding to. Even if even if it's an idea that's going to detract from something, it should be, you understand their point of view, but these are the reasons why, right? You need to have answers. Really, the Tech Scout is about the director and the DP providing the answers. And the question should be coming from everyone that is trying to catch up, right? Because this wheel is moving. You've had a lot of time, relatively speaking. You should have had a lot of time versus your keys, who are probably working every single day on jobs. If you're lucky and you get experienced crew, these people, this is their living. This is what they do. You need to give them as much as you can in order to be successful. So they're just really playing catch up. and it's a dance between the first AD, the director, and the DP. Really, the first AD and the director will take their time and go through the specific setups, but then it's up to the DP to pass on as much information, any gotchas, any, if you're thinking it's going to be great to have a Steadicam move through here, but there has to be some piece of information passed on. You don't want to forget that stuff. So come with notes, come prepared. And again, the more that you can pass on without overloading, like they don't need to know the motivation, they don't need to know why we couldn't choose another location. They just need to know the information that they need to know in order to get what is in your head on the screen. One big thing to remember that often gets overlooked is the Tech Scout, depending on how far out from the actual shoot it is really a fantastic time to talk with the art department about little things they can do to help save big chunks of time, whether it's shears or curtains or maybe things that the director hasn't briefed anybody on. If you haven't reached out and talked to the production designer yourself and talked through the locations and what they're going to be doing and what their plan is, a lot of the times the Tech Scout is where you'll first meet and you first have that opportunity to say, wouldn't it be great if we did this? Or this would save us an hour of time if we could just get this. And so don't ignore the production side of things and just focus on your team. It's about reaching out and getting as much information from everyone in order to be as successful as possible on the day. So the key takeaway from this overall Tech Scout overview is you've got to go in prepared, you've got to set the tone, and then you have to be open to listening to the discussions around you. So things will change really quickly on a Tech Scout. If a production designer can't do something and the director really wanted it, maybe he all of a sudden flips angles and ideas start coming. Just be ready to be on the fly, be creative, right? This is another time for creativity where you can come up with solutions that could actually get done. Much harder on the day, if you don't have a certain art department piece where you don't have enough extras or whatever it is, now is the time. But remember that you don't just want to start throwing off answers that have no chance of coming into existence. You need to understand the level that you're at, having had that chat with the producer, the line producer, production manager, knowing what you can get away with, how many people you're going to have. Then if the director says, oh, can we look this way in this light? You say, well, we could do it if we were shooting right now, but we're here at 9 a.m, not 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's going to look completely different. To get this look, it's going to cost a lot of money. It's going to have to bring in a lot of level, lots of lights. You talk to your gaffer, you say, what's possible? Can we get a quote to these guys before noon while we're still on the Scout so we can get some sort of, a jump start on whether or not this is actually going to be possible, because that will dictate other areas of the production. So the more information that you can get across, the more answers that you can have, the better the Tech Scout experience is going to be for everyone involved in the process.